Hi, my name is Airyus, and I play Blades. In episode 1 of my PvP tutorial, we talked about the first move. In this episode, I will be talking about what to do after your cooldowns expire and your skills are available for use. If you have not watched the first video in this series and are new to the arena, I strongly suggest going back to that episode before continuing here. Otherwise, let's get right to it. So what happens next is solely determined on what battle position you decide to take. And what I mean by that is, have you decided to be more offensive or more defensive? First, let's review what are good defensive spells and skills to have on your bar. Resist Elements provides a good defense against elemental attacks and weapons. It clears status effects and is very strong as a second move. Downside is that it has a cast time and does not protect against physical attacks. Ward is another strong skill. It provides resistance, not as much elemental defense as Resist Elements, but this does provide an increase to physical resistance. Additionally, it is an instant cast, which means you can cast it at the same time while performing another action, including casting a skill, blocking, or attacking. Ice Spike or Paralyze. While some people view these spells as offensive, they are also very good defensive skills, as they prevent your opponent from initiating their combo. If you Ice Spike someone right before Reckless Fury engages, usually takes about a second, you can stop them from entering Reckless Fury. Or, if they already entered Reckless Fury, you can paralyze them so their timer runs out, or Ice Spike / Paralyze before a giant Skull Crusher lands on your face. Great defensive plays that will save you the match. On the stamina side of the house, Staggering Bash, Harrying Bash, and Guard Breaker are very solid go-to skills as well. If your opponent is turtling with their shield up, give them a Guard Breaker for the second move to stun them, opening up your opportunity to unleash an offensive flurry. Harrying Bash is also good as it extends their cooldown timers, making them wait longer to use their skills. But my favorite is Staggering Bash, as with any bash skill, the first part of the skill utilizes a block, which has a chance to stun them if they swing into it. Then it goes into the bash, which is the offensive part of the skill. When you use Staggering, you basically have two chances to stun the opponent, which makes this skill very powerful. Additionally, any bash skill will also proc your shield enchantments, twice if you time it right. Once for the block if the opponent swings into it, and the other for the bash. For offensive moves, as I mentioned earlier, you can basically use any of the defensive moves to start your offensive flurry. However, going into the offensive before your opponent can also have some serious benefits. By doing so, you can be the first to apply status effects through your enchantments, or drain stamina and magicka before the opponent can react. Or if using stam or magic drain weapons, you can take away their abilities early in the fight. This is where I look to the Quick Strikes tree. Quick, piercing, and recovering strikes are among the most useful to my build currently. The reason why this ends up being so powerful is because it allows your enchantments to hit the opponent twice, very similar to how your shield blocks twice when you use bash abilities, and the opponent swings into your block. So ultimately, if you can hit the opponent multiple times with your enchantments and apply the various status effects before they do, it will be much harder for that opponent to carry out their planned attack. Bottom line, for the second move you have two choices, defensive or offensive. Both options can give you the chance to apply your enchantment effects on the opponent. If you use shield skills correctly or Quick Strikes tree, you can apply them twice. Whatever you choose will always vary against opponents because loadouts can change between matches, and that's what I love so much about this game. Finally, I wanted to leave you with some tips and tricks to help you with your arena fights. First tip, draining your opponent's stamina. Without stamina, most players will be unable to do damage to you other than a regular attack, which puts them at stun risk. Second tip. Trick players into launching a regular attack into your block. You can do this by using cast times and channels. For example, when you cast Ice Spike, the opponent gets an alert on their screen that Ice Spike is being cast. As the opponent, you naturally want to swing a regular attack while they are casting Ice Spike because you think that they are defenseless. That's where the cast block comes in. Basically, you cast your Ice Spike and then block, which results in the opponent swinging into your block. This works with channels like Frostbite and Consuming Inferno as well. Another variation of this move is Strike Block. This ends up in the same result. You trick the opponent into swinging to your raised shield and getting stunned. Third tip. Don't spam block. Your block has a high block reset timer. This means there's only a certain window where you can use your high block or the block that stuns the opponent. If you use it unsuccessfully, through mistiming perhaps, then you have to wait a certain amount of time to use high block again. While you wait, you can only use low block, which blocks a smaller amount of damage but doesn't stun the opponent. To me, it feels like it's about 1 second, and while I have not yet fully figured it out, I believe that your block timer can actually be reset instantly by performing a particular action. I've seen it happen many times in the arena, so if anyone knows what these actions are and are willing to share it, we would all love to hear from you. And that wraps it up for this episode of PvP Tutorials. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Mrs. Airyus says she'll allow me to keep making videos as long as I can show an increase in subs. So if you find these videos helpful, or at least mildly entertaining, let's keep it going. Blades is such a fun game, and anything we can do to bring in more players and make the arena more competitive, all the better. And speaking of arena, here are some clips of my fights with some of my favorite players. My name is Airyus, and I play Blades. Cheers!